Alright guys, this is the Land Park Crit. My first race back in a while. And big factor today was the wind. It was blowing in this direction and came out with 5 other teammates. So we definitely had a strong presence in today's field. Also to look out for was Mike's Bikes. I think they had 3 guys, maybe 4. SP2 Oak Valley team in the green. And I'd say Cliff Bar was the other team to look out for. There were some other smaller teams, but those are the major teams right there. And yeah, like I said, wind was the big factor, so always had to stay alert, had to make sure that you were in the front group, because if you get caught behind a split or something and all the major teams are represented in the group ahead of you, nobody in the group you're in is going to chase, and that's basically race over. So that's always the danger of racing in the wind. So our plan as a team was just to make sure that we're represented in every move, and if we're happy with our composition in that group, like we think we have a good shot at winning or getting a podium from that group, then we ride with that group. If not, we just sit on and wait for the reshuffle to catch, the counterattack, the reshuffle, and all that. And by the way that we discuss race tactics beforehand, it's not like we get together and we say, oh, you know, on lap 1, this is going to happen, and then 20 minutes into the race, we're going to do this, and because it never works out that way. We just kind of talk about a loose plan, who we want in the break, and just make sure that we race smart, because you can't really plan for things ahead of time. So you just have to make sure that you have good race fundamentals and your strategy works well with your teammates, and everything that you're doing is benefiting the rest of your team, and everything that the rest of your team is doing is benefiting you. So a lot of dangerous moves went early on, and it was really fast to start, and with the wind, you know, everyone was just really anxious, taking risks, like this guy right here, just waiting for the kind of the right composition to go up the road. You see right up here on my left, in front of me, Mike's Bikes. That's Madigan. He beat me on the same course about 7 weeks ago. I'm kind of waiting for him to go. He's a good guy to look out for. I want to make sure he doesn't get up the road without me. And you can see my teammates are just all over these moves up the road. So this is awesome. As a sprinter, I just love having teammates who go with these early moves, because I mean, any of these moves could be the race winner, and I'm perfectly fine like having my teammates go up the road and me just sit back like a lazy sprinter. And if that's the race, that's the race. I just want to see our team do well. And another teammate sneaks away here, so this is great because I just get to sit on right here. I have no obligation to close this gap down, but Cliff Bar does. So this is a really good position for me. I'm just sitting on the wheel here, getting a good draft. And the field's just really strung out. Been a really fast first 10-15 minutes of the race were super fast, which resulted in all these splits. And you'll see how that plays out here later in the race. So we've bridged up to this group, but there's still another group, maybe even another 2 groups up the road, and it's just all in pieces here. This is just an indication of how demanding the course was today in the wind, and oh man, just some risky riding right here, strong crosswinds. A little bit scary, people taking risks, but oh, here's my competition again, Matt in front of me. This is a good place to be. I'm surrounded by strong riders. That's always a good sign. Through the headwind section right here, not having to do any work is great. But I still have some work to do if I want to get to the front of the race. I have some teammates up there. It would be nice if I can get up there with them. It looks like it's coming back together, but the elastic is just about to snap. And oh yeah, see, like this is dangerous. This is a really strong crosswind through here. I want to be on the right side, and just that little lateral move by Matt was scary, just because I was running a little bit too close to him. Alright, so we're all back together here, up towards the front of the race. Got some strong guys around me. Even a Hagens-Berman Pro rider showed up, which is pretty cool. It's Cole on my right, on a really fancy looking Pinarello. Man, that's a pretty bike. And he just kind of lets a gap open up, and he's looking for somebody else to close it. So I'm thinking about it, because I don't have any teammates up there. And then this Cliff Bar guy, he goes super hard, so I just follow him. And this is tailwind, slightly uphill portion of the course. Good place to open up a gap, and all of a sudden got some strong riders up the road with a gap back to the peloton. It's been a really difficult first 20 minutes or so of the race, and this is looking really good for when gaps open up like that in the wind. This is looking really good for a successful breakaway, especially with this composition of riders, because all of the major teams that I mentioned earlier on are all represented. And now I have a couple of teammates who bridged up to me also. So we just got to continue applying the pressure here. And with a couple of teammates, this is great position for me because we got some cards to play. I got Bobby up here on the left, my teammate in the pink. He's going to stitch this last little gap up. And he's like the breakaway expert. He's in every move pretty much. So it looks like there's separation behind me, but we still have a pretty big group. And really the ideal size is like maybe 6 riders, 4 or 6 riders for a breakaway. If it's too big, you have people that don't want to rotate through. So then that makes other people not want to rotate through, because why drag somebody to the end? Oh, and here I alert this attacking rider. And Bobby's just on it. He's closing that down. I can sit in because now I have a rider off the front. So the field is just in pieces behind. Still looking for that right composition though, and it's kind of coming together here. So, yep, yell at Andrew. So now my other teammate follows this move. Awesome teamwork here, guys. This is how it's done. And I'm saving my legs, so I don't have to chase any of this stuff down. And now you see Pete up there in the Cliff Bar kit, blue kit. He's doing the same thing. He's got a teammate up the road. He doesn't have to do any work on the front. I can just follow this stuff. SP2 guys missed it. They have to chase. So I'm getting a good draft here. It's a left to right wind. And there's some separation. So now it's these other teams that missed it, they have an obligation to close this down. Mike Spikes, they're up there too. So you see this Mike Spikes rider on the front. He's not doing any work. He's just kind of rolling it. The SP2 guy, on the other hand, he's got to close this down. So he comes around Mike Spikes. He starts putting in an effort. Pete and I are just chilling. And we're coming up to this tailwind, slightly uphill section, really good launching pad to come across. And I want to be up there with the fun with my teammates, but I can't drag anybody with me. So the way I see it, this is a really good opportunity right here with a strong tailwind where I can get separation. I'm not going to drag any competition with me. And there I go. So you brought it up to like 1400 watts or so, and you have to go really hard, really fast. Otherwise, these other guys are gonna have incentive to get in your draft and get a free ride with you up there. I needed to come across by myself, and I'm hurting now too because I still have some work to do. Didn't seem like much of a gap, but hard racing in the wind. It's a tough effort to close down a gap like this. And now these guys, right as I come across these two guys, they've kind of lost contact. And they're just dying. These two guys are dying. But I'm getting a draft because, again, this is teamwork. They have an obligation to close this down. I do not. And I'm not going to stand in this guy's way either. I'm going to try to get a good draft. Timing couldn't have been better here, too, because this is the headwind section. So even though we're only going 25 miles an hour, I mean, I'm doing 250, 300, 400 watts, which means they're doing 500, 600 watts. This is good. I'm getting a huge benefit from the draft right here. And there's the front of the race. Actually, there's even another group in front of that. So we're in ribbons here, but most of the field is still behind me. Realize these guys are not going to be able to close it down. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to wait until that tailwind section and try to leapfrog another group and close down another gap before it extends too much, because this guy's elbowing me through, but I'm not going to do any work for them. So I drop them. Same as before. I'm not going to let them get my draft and come across with me. I'm going to put in a hard effort, get separation, and try to come across by myself. Just another leapfrog here up to my teammates, because I still have two teammates in this group up here. And I would have waited for the tailwind section back there, but if I would have waited, those two guys were so gassed. They were just losing ground on this front group. Can't have that. That was my opportunity to get across. If you hesitate for even a half a lap, it could be too late. It was like in the early bird race that I did commentary on early. I'll link it in the description, and I'll put a card up right here, where I waited a little bit too long and I ended up closing down the gap by myself, but it was just a mistake, and I burned matches having to close down a gap that I let extend too far. So I tried to stay on top of it this time. So here we go. This is a good looking group. We have separation, have all the major teams represented. The only problem is we still have Matt here in the Mike's Bikes kit, and he was like the one guy at the start of the race. I thought in a heads-up sprint, he's the one guy I'm worried about out of this whole field of maybe 50 riders or so. Unfortunately, he's here, so we're gonna have to try some things to get rid of him. All right, so it took us a little bit, but this is the Breakaway group that got established. Got Mike's Bikes, myself, Swift, A-Main, Team Cliff Bar, and my teammate Bobby here. And we fell into pretty solid rotation. And this is the Breakaway that would make it to the end of the race. So we all pretty much played nice up until a few laps to go. But before we get to the last couple laps of the race, I wanted to talk about some questionable tactics. So these two guys were dropped from the lead group. They've both been lapped. What the official should have done is pulled them. Because now the Cliff Bar guy, who again, he's a lap down, he gets into our lead Breakaway group and he starts helping his teammate, blocking, taking me off the back, letting gaps open up, and like obviously doing things to help his teammate when it's pretty clear in the rule book that, here, I'll just read it. Riders off the front of the field may not accept assistance from riders who have lost contact with the back of the field. So I was yelling at the moto official, and so were a couple of other guys, to get the Cliff Bar guy out of there. But I don't know what was going on. I was a little bit frustrated, to be honest, because it was a clear violation of the rules. Yeah, you see here he is letting a gap open up. His teammate's up the road. He makes me close this little gap down. Then later on, one Cliff Bar guy lets the gap open up in the headwind section. The other one attacks across it. And overall, they were just being so disruptive. And anybody knows when you're in a nice Breakaway group where everyone's working together, rotating, and if the pace is really smooth. Oh, see here I am having to close this down across, like, oh, it's so frustrating. This is really bad etiquette from the Cliff Bar guys. You never want to see this, especially in the P12 ranks, and sorry to call you guys out, but you really shouldn't be doing this. So unfortunately my GoPro ran out of battery, my front GoPro ran out of batteries here with just under 2 laps to go. So we only get rear cam for the finish, but you'll see here, so the Cliff Bar guy attacks again. You can see my teammate, he's chasing it down. Swift goes. And the idea here was, oh, this is a big effort, over 1,200 watts. So the idea here is to apply pressure to the strongest sprinter in the group, who is Matt, who from the start line, I picked him out as somebody I didn't want to face in the sprint finish. So we're doing everything we can to either tire him out or drop him, but he's strong, and he's also really smart. So these attacks that are going, my teammates attacking, and also the Swift guys attacking. And the idea is to get separation, force Matt to have to chase it down, and then I can sit on the wheel while Matt closes it down, which means I'm doing less work than Matt, and in essence tiring him out so I can potentially beat him in the sprint. But see, Matt's a smart guy, and he's a skilled racer, so he's not letting that happen. So every time an attack goes, he's either on it right away, or he jumps across that gap with a ton of acceleration, which essentially nullifies any advantage I would have from sitting in his draft. Because if you put in a huge acceleration, then the people behind you have to put in a huge acceleration just to benefit from that little bit of draft. And he wasn't letting any significant gap open up, and not really getting much of a benefit. And in contrary to that, a good lead out is kind of the opposite of what Matt's doing. You see, a good lead out is you build into a really fast speed, which means your sprinter, the guy behind you, if you're leading him out, he's not having to close down any gaps with little micro accelerations that are sapping energy from his legs. He is able to stay in the pocket, stay in that really good position for a draft, while the speed slowly ramps up. Small changes in speed is the key for a good lead out. But in this case, Matt is closing down these gaps to my teammate who's attacking with really fast accelerations, which sucks for the people behind. Yeah, see, here goes the Swift guy again. Look out for this Swift guy. Sorry, I didn't catch his name, but I mean, a lot of these Swift guys are strong, but this guy in particular, I think it's Creighton. Sorry I forgot your name wrong, but I raced with him today. Obviously, he's really strong, making really good decisions in the race, earned his podium spot, and I also raced with him the following day. I'll make a video about the next day, big road race. He also raced super strong there, and he's a young kid, so look out for him. So anyway, here we are on the bell lap. Last lap to go. Have unsuccessfully dropped or tired out Matt. So now, got to face him in the sprint. I've lost to him already this year in a heads-up sprint, so I'm not thrilled about it. Not too worried about the Cliff Bar guy behind me right here, and also the A-main guy behind him, just because they seemed unresponsive to these attacks. They were letting gaps open up, a little bit sloppy, which typically means you're tired, and for good reason. I mean, this was a hard race in the wind. We were in the break the whole day. Normalized power is over 300 watts, which is kind of a lot for me. I'm not really an FTP guy. But so at this point, I'll just try to describe what's going on in front of me. Got my teammate Bobby either on the front or second wheel, and he is just keeping it together at this point because we have been unable to get separation here towards the end, and the responsibility now is on me to get the result, and not thrilled to have Matt still in this group. So, oh yeah, you can see the gap opening up there back to the A-main rider, and not a good sign in the last lap if you're letting gaps open up like that. You gotta be glued to the wheel in front of you. And if I had my front camera working, you would have seen just that. So one more attack by the Swift kid is coming up right here, and my teammate Bobby does a really good job just to stitch it up, keep everything together for a field sprint. Gonna have to face Matt, who is right in front of me. I am glued to Matt's wheel. So there's the Swift kid attack goes through your Creighton's attack. Last corner, I am on Matt's wheel, and this is a strong, well, from this perspective, it's a strong right to left wind, and boom, Matt goes. And I'm punching it 1450 watts. I'm on his wheel, but he goes into the gutter, because again, he's a smart racer, and he's not going to let me benefit from a draft. And by the time he comes away from the curb, all I can do is just sit in his draft, and he's pushing close to 1700 watts in his sprint. So so not much I can do about that, and I got to take another second. That's 3 seconds in a row in my opening 3 races. Can't complain, second's not bad, but when you're that close to first, it kind of hurts. So congrats to Matt, another sprint win. He deserved it, raced really well, and thanks for watching, guys. I have a lot more content coming up, including some potential joint commentary, so stay tuned for that. Click subscribe. As always, see you guys next time.